Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. We're going to be going over the Cincinnati Bengals 2021 fantasy football preview. We're going to look at the depth chart. We'll look at the draft class from the season and also their free agency moves, the guys that they added, the guys that they lost, and we'll kind of just paint the picture for the Bengals and who we're going to be needing to draft for fantasy football this year. So we're looking down here. I do have the link for this page in the description below. You can find all the other 32 teams there below that link as well. But let's just look at the additions for this Bengals team this year. They added a really nice signing here in Trey Hendrickson. He led the Saints last year in sacks. They added Mike Hilton, who was the Steelers' longtime cornerback. Chidobe Awuzie, I think from the Cowboys. Riley Reif added at the offensive line. And then defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi here. So really solid addition class here. I like the names on that list. Notable departures from the team: wide receiver A.J. Green, running back Gio Bernard. They did lose Carl Lawson, but again, the Trey Hendrick signing really, I think that's a plug-in that they actually improve on. They lost William Jackson. They lost Sathan Carter, John Ross, Randy Bullock, Bobby Hart. So there's a lot of names on the list, but I think the additions weigh a little bit heavier. And A.J. Green, Gio Bernard, they're losses to the old Bengals. I don't think A.J. Green really had a great season. He didn't really help them win games last year. He's with the Cardinals now. And then Gio Bernard, who he's been a rock for them, with the third down passing and just blocking and catching the ball out of the backfield. But they have some other guys that we'll talk about in a little bit. But again, I think I really like the additions to this year's team through free agency. And then looking at the draft class, it's all about Jamar Chase. We all thought they might take offensive line, offensive tackle with that 5th overall pick, but they decide to hook up Joe Burrow with his former LSU teammate, Jamar Chase. This is a great pick. I actually think even for redraft and dynasty, Jamar Chase is going to be their best receiver this year. He's going to line up on the outside. You're also going to have T. Higgins outside. You're going to still have Tyler Boyd in the middle of the field. So plugging in Chase over an aging A.J. Green, it's going to be a huge difference for this offense. I think it's going to be a lot more productive. It's going to stay on the field a little bit more efficient, I think, for this offense this year. So I love the adding of Jamar Chase. You should be drafting him in redraft leagues this year. I think maybe he might be creeping into the 5th round right now, but 6th round, kind of bank on him as being a wide receiver too. I think this year he could. I'm not expecting anybody to have a Justin Jefferson type rookie season, but if there was someone to do it, it would be Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. So I love Jamar Chase this year. They come back in round 2 and they get Jackson Carman, offensive guard out of Clemson. They get Joseph Osai here, really good defensive end rusher out of Texas A&M in the 3rd. The 4th round, they get Cameron Sample from Tulane, another defensive end. Defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin out of LSU. That was one of my favorite picks of their draft. Just getting a huge body to move in the middle of the field. He's a run stuffer. That's what he was known for at LSU. That's going to really help them just kind of clog up the middle of the what do you call them? The trenches. He's a trench clogger. So I love Tyler Shelvin. Another offensive tackle, Evan McPherson. I don't know why I have KC here. Is he a kicker? Who's Evan McPherson? I'll have to let me. I might have typed in the wrong thing here. Evan McPherson. Is he a kicker? Yep, he's the kicker. Yeah, he's the Gators kicker. Okay, so I remember seeing him kick some pretty big field goals in college. So really good kicker here. Don't know why I got the C there. They did draft a center out of Georgia here. Really nice value in the 6th round pick. They get Chris Evans, running back out of Michigan here. He's the 13th running back off the board. And then another defensive end here. So they drafted 3 defensive ends and they signed Trey Hendrickson. They added a defensive tackle. Like, they're clearly building those trenches right now. There's going to be probably a lot of rotational players there. So I like what they did with the defensive line. Adding Jamar Chase, you plug in an offensive guard, maybe a backup tackle here. Really nice draft class here. And then I think in the future draft classes, the offense is built out pretty nicely. Just got to continue building the offensive line, maybe get a tight end in the future. And then it's going to be all about kind of the middle linebacking core and some of the back end secondary players in the future drafts. So I like the class. It's a pretty fun class. Now, looking at the depth chart here, of course, you got Joe Burrow at the quarterback position. Brandon Allen sticks around. Kyle Shermer, UDFA, Colin Hill. It's all about Joe Burrow. I do think Burrow he's got a chance for a top 12 quarterback finish in 1 QB leagues, but I think the spot that I feel the best with Joe Burrow is getting him as my QB2 in Superflex league. So that's most of the leagues that I play in anymore are Superflex leagues. I think it's more fun. 1 quarterback leagues are kind of they're not as exciting. You can pick up quarterbacks off the waiver wire so easy in a 1 quarterback league, whereas the 2 quarterbacks, it adds a huge fun wrinkle to the draft strategy. And there's just this kind of revolving door towards the end. When you get to like the 28th best quarterback or something, like people are rolling out some weird quarterbacks. So it's a lot of fun strategy. So Joe Burrow, I really like it. You're plugging in Chase over AJ Green. Hopefully Joe Mixon's healthy, the whole season. And you should see some pretty nice numbers here. The offensive line is going to be improved. It's all about keeping him healthy. And he's got some fun receivers and weapons to throw the ball to. So Joe Burrow, he's going to flirt with a top 10, top 12 finish. But again, he looks best as your quarterback 2 in Superflex leagues. For running back, it's all about Joe Mixon, he was having a pretty nice season. He had that one monster game where I think he had like 40-some fantasy points. But before he got hurt, he was running the ball 119 carries, 428 yards, a very low 3.6 yards per carry, only 3 touchdowns. But he was catching the ball pretty well too. 21 receptions, 26 targets, 138 yards, and a touchdown. So he did have, some low-end yards per carries, yards per catches, but the volume was there, and we know this offensive line is going to be improved. You're getting another year of Joe Burrow improving mentally and physically with just being, growing from that rookie season. And just the offense in general, the defensive in general, I think the Bengals are going to be better on both sides of the ball. So you like that for the offense, you like that for the running game, and there's no more Giovanni Bernard, who he catches a lot of passes. You might even see a career high from Joe Mixon out of the reception department. So I really like Mixon quite a bit. The main backup behind him is going to be Samaje Perine. You got Travion Williams, Chris Evans, who they drafted in the 6th. We'll see if Jocks Patrick and Puka Williams can make the team, but they're probably only keeping 4 here. We'll see. Again, it's Jocks for the number 5th role here. But if you need to know who the backup is in case Mixon gets hurt, everyone's going to want Samaje Perine, who they used last year, and he did pretty well down the stretch. He ran 63 times, 301 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's a 4.8 yards per carry. And then his receptions, 11 catches on 12 targets for 66 yards. He's a very serviceable back. He's not going to wow you with his speed. He's kind of more of a power back. If you guys remember him, he was drafted by Washington initially, but he's found another home here, and he is the primary backup. So again, if anything happens to Mixon, this is the guy you're going to want. I find myself drafting Perine really deep and late in best ball leagues right now. And then looking at the receivers, again, I kind of, mentioned this quickly at the beginning of the show, but Jamar Chase, I'm putting him as their wide receiver 1 right away, right from day one. He's got a lot of pass attempts with Joe Burrow. Like, Burrow pound the table for this pick. Like, you just know he's going to get force-fed his targets. It's a really good position. For dynasty leagues, like, he should be one of the first couple players off the board. Superflex league, maybe after a quarterback or 2. But I love the fit with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Tyler Boyd, I can see being the guy with the next most receptions. Really safe for PPR leagues. He's, can be viewed as a wide receiver 3. I guess I would view Jamar Chase as like a top 25, top 30, top 25 receiver this year. Tyler Boyd is going to be somewhere in that top 30 with PPR. And then the guy that kind of takes the biggest loss is probably T. Higgins, but I'm not sure about that. We might see like three wide receiver 3s on this team. Each guy could kind of have a big moment. But if you remember last year, T. Higgins was one of the bright spots from this team. AJ Green really disappointed. T. Higgins did not. He far and away surpassed all my expectations for his rookie season. And I just think another year with Burrow, another year with Higgins, another year in the Zach Taylor offense, you should see some really nice things out of T. Higgins, who's been he's kind of been falling in some of the drafts I've seen. But I have no issue trying to snag Chase, Boyd, Higgins, and seeing what happens. I think I want to hitch myself to this Bengals offense this year, even though they do play in a tough division. So some of the receivers that will be trying to make the team, Auden Tate, I think Auden Tate's locked into their wide receiver 4 role. Trent Irwin's there, Stanley Morgan Jr., kind of a quick slot receiver. Mike Thomas is there, and Scotty Washington. So they're probably going to hold on to 6 guys for sure, maybe a 7th. I would imagine Auden Tate and Mike Williams make the team, and then it's kind of whoever can help on special teams between Morgan, Irwin, and Washington. And then for the tight ends, you're probably looking at some kind of, starting duo mix here of Drew Sample and CJ Uzomah, who got hurt last year. I think he tore his ACL in like the 3rd or 4th. It was that Thursday night game against the Browns, I believe. He just caught a touchdown or something. And then the next series, I think he tore up his leg. So I really like CJ Uzomah. I got to see him in training camp. We'll watch for his health progress throughout the summer. Drew Sample had a decent year. Like Drew Sample's a blocking tight end. They drafted him in the 2nd round out of Washington last year. He's going to be on the field a lot for them, but he's primarily a blocking tight end. But he did rack up, PPR receptions last year. but that was only because of Uzama was out. So Sample, I'm interested in watching his development. I just don't think we're going to be drafting a tight end from the Bengals. So again, I mean, I guess I'll cover the rest here. Mason Schreck, Mitchell Wilcox, Thaddeus Moss, fun receiver out of LSU, or tight end out of LSU, and then they added Pro Wells in the UDFA department. So if you're drafting Bengals, you're looking at Joe Burrow, you're looking at Mixon, you're looking at Chase, Boyd, and Higgins, and I think that's going to be it. Anything happens to Mixon, we want Samaje Perine. Anything happens to one of the tight ends, we'll want the other one. So keep an eye on that. I do think Burrow does like the tight end position. Keep an eye on Thaddeus Moss. He played back at LSU with Burrow for a couple seasons there too. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him turning some heads at camp. But overall, man, I'm excited about what the Bengals did in free agency. They added some nice pieces in the draft. I think it's going to be a much better team. Zach Taylor is his third season, with the team. They got better. They won 2 games year one, 4 games last year. So now we're probably on 6, 7, 8 wins. We'll see. I don't expect this team to make the playoffs. It's maybe just one more season of kind of struggling to get over that hump, and then we'll see. I think next year the Bengals really start to take off and become a playoff threat. So really exciting for the young Bengals. I think that's going to do it for this video. We're going to cover the Cleveland Browns are next. So want to watch that one, stay tuned for the next video. Otherwise, check out the Ravens, and then the link in the description below has got the other divisions and the teams that I've covered so far. So thank you guys for your time. We'll see you in the next video. Cool. Peace.